I'm elbow deep in grease when my phone starts buzzing on the workbench. Same unknown number 3 times in a row. Only 2 kinds of people are called that. Debt collectors and hospitals. Yeah, I answer, wiping my hands on a rag. Is this Jack Morrison? Father of Samuel Morrison. The voice is too calm. Practiced calm. My chest gets tight in that old, familiar way. Yes, ma'am. What happened? Your son's been admitted to St. Mary's. He's stable, but you should come in. Stable. The word doesn't land. My brain's already in the truck. I hung up without saying goodbye. The drive is a tunnel of streetlights and worst-case scenarios. Drunk driving. Car wreck. Wrong crowd. I've seen bodies arranged on dirt roads in countries that don't matter to anyone back home. None of that scares me like the idea of my boy lying alone in a white room, wondering if I'm coming. I park crooked in the ER lot and walk in fast, not running. Soldiers don't run unless someone's shooting. Samuel Morrison, I told the nurse. My voice comes out flat, controlled. She points me down a hallway that smells like bleach and old fear. Room 12. Curtain half open. Sam's in the bed, leg in a cast, right side of his face swollen, one eye bloodshot and purple. He's 19, but right now he looks 11 again, the day he broke his arm falling out of the oak tree. Jesus, kid, I murmur, stepping closer. What did you do? Pick a fight with a truck? He laughs once, then winces. Hey, Dad. When I put my hand on his shoulder, I feel him shaking. Not from pain, from something deeper. What happened? Ask. He stares at the ceiling for a second. I watch his jaw work, that Morrison stubbornness I've seen in the mirror for 40-odd years. I went home early, he says. Mom's car was there, and a Jaguar I didn't recognize. The front door was unlocked. Jaguar. My stomach drops. I heard noises, he continues. From your room. My room. He swallows hard. I open the door. Mom was in bed with Carson Williams. The name hits me like a rifle butt to the ribs. Her boss. The Golden Boy lawyer. Campaign signs all over town. I told him to get out of our house, Sam says. Then those 2 guys you saw at the 4th of July thing, his security, came up behind me. One of them shoved me. I swung. Stupid. They beat the crap out of me and threw me down the stairs. He says it like he's embarrassed, like he failed. I breathe in through my nose, slow, slower. My vision narrows. Not tunnel vision, rifle scope. They did this to you, I say. He nods, eyes shining, but he won't cry. Not in front of me. Mom just stood there, he adds quietly. She told them to handle it. That's the part that actually hurts. Not the affair. Not the lawyer. The words, handle it. I lean down, kiss his forehead, smell sweat and antiseptic. Listen to me, Sam. You're safe now. They won't touch you again. He searches my face. Dad, what are you gonna do? I squeezed his hand once. I'm past stupid. I tell him, my voice steady as a loaded gun. Heading straight for brilliant. On the way out of St. Mary's, the fluorescent lights feel like battlefield flood lamps. Same hum, same cold. The only difference is, this time the war's at home, and I know exactly who the enemy is. I drive home with that old combat comm sliding over me like armor. Last time I felt this way, I was rolling into a village we'd been mortared from all week. The only difference now is the target grid is my own damn address. The streets are quiet. October air cool through the cracked window. 22 years of marriage runs through my head like a bad highlight reel. Wedding dress, first mortgage, 2 kids with chicken pox, her waiting up for me after late shifts at the site. Somewhere along the line, those nights turned into girls' trips and late meetings. I turn onto our street and see it before I even hit the driveway. Elizabeth's white BMW, Carson's sleek black Jaguar, and a black Suburban parked like it owns the curb. Muscle. I don't go in heat. I sit there for a second, engine idling, listening to it knock. Then I reach under the seat, pull the lockbox, punch in the code. The Colt .357 feels heavier than I remember, not because of the steel, because of what it means to carry it into my own house. The front door's unlocked, just like Sam said. I step inside. The place smells like her perfume and expensive cologne. There's laughter upstairs. Her laughter, high and girlish, like she's 19 again and not a middle-aged mother blowing up her family. I move slowly, deliberately, the way they taught us. One hand on the rail, gun low but ready. At the top of the stairs, I hear a man's voice. Carson's. Smug, relaxed. Bedroom door half closed. Light spilling out. I push it open. Elizabeth freezes in a silk robe that sure as hell isn't from Target. Carson's shirt is unbuttoned. Belt undone. Behind him, by the dresser, are the two security clowns from the 4th of July party. Both in polos a size too small, both thinking they're dangerous. "Jack," she says, color draining from her face. "What are you doing here?" "Live here," I answered. "What are you doing here?" Carson starts to puff up. "Now, Jack, let's all." I raise the Colt, smooth and steady, barrel aimed center mass at the space between his buttons. The room goes quiet in a way you can feel. "Let me make something clear," I say. "I am a combat veteran with diagnosed PTSD, standing armed in my own bedroom in a house I pay for. You three, you're trespassing. You break that distance, and I get real sympathetic cops." One of the security guys shifts. I swing the barrel his way like I'm changing channels. He freezes. "On your knees," I tell them. "All three of you." Carson laughs, a short, stupid sound. "You can't be sorry." I take one step forward. The hammer clicks back. "Knees. Hands on your heads." They drop. Pride hits the floor first. "Now," I continue, voice low, "you're going to crawl out of my bedroom, down that hallway, and you're going to keep crawling till you hit the stairs. Then you walk out my front door, and you never come back." Carson's jaw works like he's got a speech lined up, the kind he gives in court. Instead, he starts crawling. The great Carson Williams, pillar of the community, campaign darling, grinding his expensive trousers into my carpet on his knees while his hired muscles shuffle behind him. I don't look at them. I watch Elizabeth. Her face twists from shock to something harder. Hate suits her more than silk. "You're insane," she spits. "I will destroy you for this. You'll never see a dime of this house, and you'll never see the kids." I keep the gun trained on the hallway, listening to the scrape of their crawl. "You already destroyed this house," I say. "As for the kids, we'll let them decide who crawls and who doesn't." The last of the suburban trash disappears down the stairs. The front door opens, closes. I lower the Colt, thumb the hammer down, heart rate steady. For the first time all night, it actually feels like my bedroom again. Stripped, scorched, and about to be a war zone. I wake up on the couch with a stiff neck and the taste of copper and dust in my mouth. For half a second, I forget why I'm there instead of in my bed. Then I see the suitcase by the door and remember. The house is quiet. Too quiet. I sit up. The closet in the hallway is open, shelves half empty. Her shoes are gone. Jewelry box gone. Bathroom counter stripped of her bottles and creams. It's like watching a time-lapse of someone erasing themselves from a life. On the kitchen island, there's a neat stack of papers. A manila envelope. A single note in her handwriting. "My attorney will be in touch." Divorce petition. Restraining order request. Claims of erratic behavior and escalating instability. There's even a line about me brandishing a firearm in a threatening manner in the presence of professional colleagues. I actually laugh. Short, ugly sound. I stop by St. Mary's to see Sam. He's asleep, pain meds pulling him under. Anna's there instead, sitting in the corner chair, arms folded, eyes red. "Hey, kiddo," I say softly. She stands up like I'm a stranger. "What the hell is wrong with you, Dad?" There it is. "Mom said you broke in, pointed a gun at Carson, threatened everyone." She fires off. "You scared her. You scared everyone. She said you've been getting worse and refusing help." I let her talk. Let it all spill out, the story they've already started telling. Dangerous veteran. Jealous husband. Loose cannon. When she finally runs out of steam, I just nod. "You believe that?" She hesitates for half a heartbeat. Then, "I don't know what to believe." That's my answer. By the afternoon, Morrison Construction calls. HR voice, fake sympathy. Given everything that's unfolding, the board thinks it's best you step back. For the company's reputation. The company I built from a beat-up pickup and a rusty trailer is suddenly the company. I walk into Sullivan's at dusk. Same crooked neon beer sign, same sticky floor, same old country song on the jukebox. The only difference is the way conversations dip when I pass. People don't look at you when they think you might explode. They look near you. I order cheap whiskey. It burns clean on the way down. The first one is for shock. Second one's for anger. Third one I'm not proud of. Thought you were more of a beer man. A voice says beside me. I turn. Mike Torres drops onto the stool like it owes him money. Ex-boxer shoulders, nose broken twice. Eyes that see more than he says. We've been through layoffs, bad winters, and one almost bar fight together. Beers for when things can still be fixed, I answer. He grunts. Heard about the kid. Heard about the lawyer. Heard about the gun show. The town's buzzing. Yeah, I noticed. He studies me. Are you planning on doing something stupid? Not anymore, I say. Stupid already happened. I'm aiming for precision. He nods slowly, like he was waiting for that. Good, 'cause guys like Carson, they don't just cheat with their wives. They cheat on taxes, partners, donors. Men like that leave a trail. I look at him. You know something? I know this, Mike says. Punching him gets you a cell. Shooting him gets you a grave. But finding the right information at the right time. He taps the bar with one thick finger. That's how you make a man like Carson wish you'd just hit him. I sit with that. The whiskey stops feeling like an escape and starts feeling like a funeral. Burying the version of me who thought this could be settled with yelling and lawyers. All right, I say quietly. Then we stop reacting. Mike smiles, a slow, dangerous thing. Attaboy, Jack. Time to start planning. The morning after Sullivan's, I wake up on my own couch again. Clothes still on. Head heavy but clear enough. The old me would have spent the day pacing and replaying every insult. Every insult I didn't throw. This version of me walks straight to the kitchen table, dumps a box of receipts, old contracts, and mail onto it and starts sorting. They taught us a simple doctrine overseas. Recon, plan, execute. Feelings come last, if at all. I hit the public library after checking on Sam. He's sleeping. Anna's not there. Fine. One battle at a time. The library is quiet and smells like paper and dust and other people's forgotten problems. I get on a computer, pull property records, city council minutes, contract awards. Anything with Carson Williams or Henderson Development or Williams and Hartley on it. After an hour, patterns start to show. Same names on committees. Same companies winning bids. Same lawyer listed as consultant. I don't know everything I'm looking at, but I recognize repetition, and repetition is where people get sloppy. That afternoon, I sit by Sam's bed while he's awake, TV on mute, some game flickering in the background. Dad, he says suddenly, there's something I didn't tell you. I turned to him. Go ahead. When I walked in on them, it wasn't just, his ears redden. They had papers all over your bed. Big blueprints. Legal documents. The kind mom signs at work. I remember the city seal on the top of a few pages. Municipal seal. In my bedroom. On my sheets. Did you see what project? Ask. He squints, thinking. Henderson, I think. Something about zoning. Carson kept saying. Once this goes through, we're set. My jaw tightens. Henderson Development. Biggest project this town's seen in a decade. And my wife and her boss are playing horizontal twister on top of the paperwork. On the drive home, anger sharpens into something else. Focus. This isn't just adultery. This is sex, power, and public money tangled up in my house. They didn't just betray me. They used my home as a backroom office. So I stop thinking like a husband. Start thinking like a squad leader again. Intel. Targets. Pressure points. Elizabeth and Carson wanted to turn my life into collateral damage. Fine. I'll turn their little affair into evidence, and their big project into a crime scene. The first ally shows up on a Tuesday night, right when I'm starting to get used to the sound of my own breathing in this crappy two-bedroom apartment. There's a knock at the door. Not landlord knock. Not cop knock. Softer. Unsure. I open it to find Anna. Hoodie up, eyes rimmed red. For a second, we just stare at each other. You gonna let me in? She mutters. I step aside. You're always welcome, you know that. She walks past me, looks around at the mismatched furniture and boxes. Mom said you were in some depressing hole. She shrugs. Seen worse. I let the jab pass. How's your brother? Grumpy. Alive. She chews her lip. Dad. People are talking about Carson. Other girls. At the firm. On campus. I wait. There's this girl, Jessica Martinez, she says. She interned at Carson's office last summer. She left halfway through and wouldn't say why. Now there are rumors he pushed it with her and others. My hands curl into fists, then flatten on my thighs. You have her number? Anna nods. I'll send it. And I'm not saying I was wrong, but I might have been fast. To judge you, it's the closest thing to an apology I'm gonna get today. I take it. Jessica meets me at a campus coffee shop. Back to the wall, big sweater, smaller voice. I don't want trouble, she says right away. Trouble has already found you, I reply. I'm just asking for facts. Comes out in pieces. The friendly late nights. The hand on her back that slid lower. The you're not a team player when she said no. The veiled threat about her career. The way he made her feel crazy for not liking his attention. My anger sits there, heavy and hot, but I don't let it drive. I stay calm, precise. Did you keep emails? Ask. Messages. Calendar invites. Anything. She nods. I couldn't delete them. It felt like proof I wasn't imagining it. Good, I say. We'll need them. Patricia Hartley comes next, Carson's partner. Late 40s, sharp suit, sharper eyes. We meet in the back office of her firm after hours. Blinds half closed. I don't like you, Jack, she starts. But I like what Elizabeth and Carson are doing to this firm even less. Join the club, I say. She lays out files like weapons. Corners cut on big projects. Hourly bills that don't add up. Legal opinions written after decisions were already made. She suspects, but she's never had the pattern. Why help me? Ask. Because men like Carson think they're untouchable, she says. And women like your wife think they can ride the wave forever. I'd like to be there when it crashes. By the time I leave that office, the crazy veteran they're selling to the town has a small, pissed-off army. A disillusioned daughter, a scared intern with receipts, a rival lawyer with a conscience. They broke more than just my family. Good. That means when I hit back, I won't be the only one swinging. Mike sets it up in the back room of his gym, where the air smells like sweat, liniment, and old leather. The guy sitting across from me doesn't fit the room. Button-down shirt, sensible shoes, nervous hands. Jack, this is Tony Ritchie, Mike says. Best bloodhound I know. Just don't expect him to throw a punch. Tony pushes his glasses up. Punches are messy. Paper's cleaner. We shake. I don't have much cash, I tell him. Elizabeth froze the accounts she could, and the company cut me loose. Tony shrugs. I don't need cash. I need commitment. You've got assets, truck, tools, that cabin you still own out by the lake. We put a lien on what we need. You get it back if we nail him and you stay out of jail. Fair. I think about it. The cabin's where I taught Sam to shoot, where Anna caught her first fish. It's one of the last things that feels like ours. I nod anyway. Do it. 2 weeks later, Tony drops a manila folder on my table like it's a verdict. Henderson Development, he says. Center of the spiderweb. Kickbacks, inflated bills, consulting companies that don't exist. Money in circles, always landing in the same quiet places. He shows me shell companies with names that look like someone smashed the keyboard. Owners who are retirees or out-of-state students. Fees for research signed electronically by Elizabeth Morrison. She's not just warming his bed, Tony says. She's laundering his sins. I flip to a page with a familiar logo, Morrison Bank. My stomach knots. Parker, Tony says. David. Mid-level accounts guy. Clean record. Suddenly he's authorizing transfers that smell wrong. Can we trust him? Ask. We can corner him, Tony replies. I met David Parker at a quiet coffee shop near the bank. He's already sweating before he sits down. Relax, I say. I'm not wearing a wire. Yet. His eyes darted to the door anyway. I slide copies of the documents across. Here's what I know. You moved money for Carson. Through fake companies. On shaky paperwork. Best case? You were sloppy. Worst case? You're in the boat with him when it sinks. He swallows. Hard. I have kids, he whispers. So do I say. One's in a cast because your golden boy has goons. Here's your choice. You help me and some very interested federal friends, you're a witness. You stay loyal, you're a headline. His hands shake as he reaches for the cup. Coffee sloshes over the rim. What do you need? He finally asks. Dates. Accounts. The safe deposit boxes he thinks no one knows about. And your statement when the time comes. He nods, defeated. He said it was all legal. He mutters, more to himself than to me. Men like Carson always do, I say, standing. But the paper doesn't lie. And it's about time to start talking. Anna shows up again on a rainy Thursday. Hair damp. Eyes sharp instead of lost this time. I did something, she says, stepping into the apartment. Good or stupid? Ask. Both, she answers, dropping her backpack on the table. She pulls out a cheap burner phone and sets it down like evidence. I cloned Mom's. For a second, I just look at her. My straight-A, rule-following daughter, crossing a legal and moral line without flinching. How? Ask. She gives me a look. You think you're the only one who can learn things? I had her phone for an afternoon. Backed it up. Synced it here. Texts, call logs, cloud recordings. Anna, this is... Yeah, I know, she cuts in. Probably illegal. Maybe unethical. She watched while they threw Sam down the stairs. I can live with it. I study her. Whatever innocence she had left, Carson and Elizabeth burned it. What's left is steel. All right, I say. Then we use it. Carefully. We spend hours going through messages, recorded voicemails, and the occasional accidental audio clip. I hear my wife's voice more in one night than I have in the last 2 years. Most of it is gossip and scheduling. Then we hit the vein. A call with Carson. Do it on Sunday. Shred everything in the second floor storage. I don't care. Beth. Just make it disappear. Another. We move the rest before the fundraiser. Once the donations clear, we liquidate and we're gone. New start. New country if we have to. My jaw clenches. Anna's eyes stay on the screen, not on me. Then the key line, in a hushed, urgent whisper. No, the box stays put until after the election. Morrison Bank. You know the number. If anyone sees that paperwork, we're dead. I pause the playback. There it is, I say quietly. Safe deposit box. Parker's Bank. Our smoking gun. I called the number Tony gave me. Justice Department. Public Corruption Unit. I lay out what we have, financials, witnesses, harassed intern, nervous banker, and now recordings. For once, someone on the other end doesn't treat me like a crazy ex-husband. They ask for copies. They ask for dates. We'll need him to be comfortable, the agent says. Arrogant. Public. You mentioned a fundraiser. Big one, I reply. Riverside Country Club. October. He's announcing his run for higher office. Good, the agent says. That's where this ends. That night, I sit at the table with the burner phone, Tony's files, and my own notes spread out like maps before a mission. We know where the money went. We know who helped. We know where the worst of it is hidden. Morrison Bank, safe deposit box, number on a recording that'll play real nice for a jury. They wanted to bury me with rumors and paperwork. Fine. I'll bury them with their own voices, their own signatures under lights they can't control. Riverside Country Club looks like a postcard the night it all comes together. October air crisp, lights strung over the terrace. Rich people's laughter floating over the sound of a hired jazz band. I stand in the parking lot for a minute, hand on the roof of my truck, breathing slow. Last time I walked into a place this clean with this much tension in my chest, I was escorting a diplomat through a war zone. I straightened my best suit, wedding suit, altered down and grabbed the briefcase. Inside, copies of bank transfers, Shell company charts, Jessica's statement, Parker's notes, Patricia's memos, and a printed transcript of every incriminating word that left Elizabeth and Carson's mouths on those calls. Mike meets me at the door, stuffed into a blazer that looks like it's about to tap out. "You ready?" he asks. "I've been ready since the night they put my boy in a hospital bed," I answered. Inside, it's all smiles and money. Banners with Carson's name. Integrity. Growth. Community. I almost laughed. He's working the room like a pro. Good hair, perfect teeth, arm around donors, shaking hands like he's blessing them. Elizabeth is in a red dress designed to be seen from space. She laughs too loud at his jokes, too bright, like she's trying to drown out the sound of her own conscience. Anna's here too, in a simple black dress, circulating with a tray of champagne flutes and a tiny recording device in her clutch, per the Fed's request. She catches my eye for half a second and gives the smallest nod. Tony stands against the back wall, looking like bored staff, but his eyes never stop moving. Near the side entrance, two people who look like they'd be more comfortable in government buildings than a country club nurse club sodas and keep to the edges. FBI doesn't wear jackets that say FBI. They wear indifference. The speeches start. Some local official warms up the room, then introduces the man of the hour, a tireless servant of justice, Mr. Carson Williams. Carson takes the mic to applause. He launches into a polished monologue about corruption, of all things, and transparency. My jaw tightens, but my pulse stays steady. Scope view. He hits his crescendo, smiling wide. "And with your support, we can build a cleaner, fairer. Mind if a concerned citizen say a few words, Carson?" I called out. The room goes quiet the way a room does when a glass shatters. Heads turn. Some recognize me. Their faces say, "Oh hell." Carson's smile falters. "Jack," he says, voice tight, "this isn't the time or place." "Funny," I say, walking toward the stage, briefcase in hand. "You said the same thing when I caught you using my house as a brothel and an off-the-books office." A few gasps. Elizabeth stiffens, color rising under the makeup. I step up to the edge of the stage. "You all know me," I tell the room, voice calm but carrying. "Jack Morrison. Built half the foundations in this town. Spent 20 years keeping other men's structures upright. Tonight I'm here to talk about the one that's rotten." One of Carson's security guys starts to move. Mike just casually steps into his path, big and immovable, like a refrigerator that decided it's a bouncer now. I pop open the briefcase. Papers neatly clipped. Ready. "Carson Williams," I say, looking him dead in the eye, "has been embezzling public funds through the Henderson Development Project. Kickbacks, fake consulting firms, inflated invoices, all routed through helpful friends at Morrison Bank." Murmurs. Someone says, "That can't be true." Another, "What is this?" "His partner tried to stop it," I continued. "Interns tried to speak up. One got cornered and harassed for her trouble. My wife, Elizabeth Morrison, right there in red, helped move the money and shred the evidence. When my son walked in on them and their paperwork, two hired thugs put him in the hospital." I pull out a small metal object and hold it up between two fingers. Catches the light. "And when they got scared, they hid the worst of it in a safe deposit box at Morrison Bank. Box number ending in..." I read off the digits. "We have the recordings, their voices, their plans to flee after this very fundraiser." Every reporter in the room, and there are plenty, instinctively reaches for a phone or notepad. Cameras come up. Red dots blink to life. Elizabeth finally snaps. "He's lying," she shouts. "He's crazy, he's unstable, you all know." "Ma'am," one of the agents says calmly, stepping forward, "we've reviewed the documents and the recordings. We have a warrant for that box. And for Mr. Williams' arrest. Carson's face drains of color. This is ridiculous. He starts, voice climbing. This is a political hit job. I demand. He stops when the cuffs click around his wrists. The room erupts, questions, shouts, chairs scraping. Elizabeth tries to push past Mike, aiming for the side exit. He doesn't touch her. He just shifts his weight, blocking the path with a quiet, solid no. Don't, he tells her. She freezes, hatred and panic fighting it out on her face. As they lead Carson through the crowd, reporters shouting questions, cameras flashing, he twists his head toward me. You did this, he snarls. I step closer, just enough for him to hear me clearly over the chaos. Soldiers are trained to complete the mission, I say. My mission was justice. This is what completion looks like. They haul him out into the night. The man who thought he could rewrite my story with lies and money just had his own ending handed to him in front of everyone who ever believed his act or mine. For the first time since that midnight call from the hospital, I let myself breathe all the way in. Corruption cases don't move like movies. They drag. They grind. They chew months off your life in hearings and filings and status updates. But they move. Carson goes first. Wire fraud. Conspiracy. Bribery. Money laundering. The list is long enough that even the local paper has to use a smaller font. Elizabeth sits at his table at the start, perfect hair, cold eyes. By the time the verdict comes down, she's at her own, co-defendant, not loyal wife. They both get time. Real time. Federal. The city claws back what it can. Henderson gets frozen, audited, rebuilt on paper from the ground up. A few councilmen suddenly decide family time is more important than public service and quietly resign. Nobody says the word cleanup, but you can smell bleach in the air. Jessica Martinez gets a recommendation letter from the lead prosecutor and a quiet settlement that'll pay for law school. Patricia Hartley takes over the firm, trims the fat, and makes it clear Carson's brand of business is dead there. David Parker sweats through a long season of interviews and testimony, but he walks out with immunity and a job in compliance somewhere far from Morrison Bank. Me? I move slower. Sam comes home on crutches, leg healing, smart mouth intact. We watch games, argue about plays, and sometimes sit in silence that isn't awkward anymore. Anna stands on the country club terrace the night after the verdict, crying into my shoulder, saying, I'm sorry. I should have believed you. I don't tell her it's okay. I tell her we're here now. That's enough. One day, Mike says, this town's gonna need someone on the inside who isn't bought. He says it like he's talking about a sparring partner, not politics. A few months later, my name is on the ballot. City Council. Slogan simple, integrity matters. The same people who whispered that I was unstable now line up to shake my hand outside the polling place. I don't forget who said what. I just let the votes speak louder. Election night, I stand in a borrowed suit in a too-bright hall, watching numbers climb next to my name. Landslide. Reporters want quotes. Supporters want hugs. Mike wants beer. When I finally step up to the mic, I look out at the crowd and, just for a second, I'm back in my garage with grease on my hands and a hospital on the line. I didn't ask for any of this, I tell them. But when your life blows up, you either let the blast define you, or you build something better on the crater. I pause, let it sink in. They tried to bury me with lies. I finished. Turns out they just planted the wrong man. Real revenge isn't watching them fall. It's standing here, still on my feet, building a town they'd never survive in.
Subscribe and stay one step ahead of cheaters. And trust me, the next story makes this one look like a fairy tale.